Hey, welcome back to Grandpa's channel. Today we're going to be diving into the Nitro 5 laptop. As you know, the Nitro 5 laptop has been out for a while and it has been improved in many different versions. It's one of the most popular, cost-effective gaming creation laptops, business laptops that just keeps going. And because of its expandability, it is probably one of the best laptops that I know on the market for its versatility. So let's dive into its specs, understanding what has happened to it. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Give me a like. Doesn't cost you anything. And we'll talk more and I will get into all the facts right now. So the Nitro 5 laptop has had most of the variations of the i5 chip, starting at the 8300, I believe, was the earliest chip they had. But it really started getting interesting with this particular laptop once they hit the 10th version. And from there on, it increased in speed, reliability, and amount of cores. One of the most important things, of course, to know is that if you're deciding to purchase this new or used, you're going to have a good laptop. Now, we'll start with the i5 10. That one and the iTi 11400 is a grading starting point chip. So if you're going to look for a used laptop, refurbished laptop, I would start there if you're price considering. And the version 10 is a quad-core laptop. The version 11 got a hex 6-core laptop so that it had more cores, more processor, better performance, can handle more tasks. Now, once we hit the 12th generation, that's when things got interesting. The 12th generation 12500H, H standing for laptop version, included Intel's hybrid architecture, a mixture of performance cores, efficient cores, and better single core performance, and improved power efficiency, so your battery life increased. Now, once we hit the 13th generation, building on the 12th and 10th version, we included more cores, higher speed, and provide more graphics built into the chip. Just basically saying that it is everything you wanted and just a little bit more. Now, back when it came to the version 10 laptop, or the Intel 5 version 10, that's when they put the GTX 1050 graphics card, and that handled 1080p and handled most, at that time, less demanding games, and that made this a step ahead in most laptops. Now, as generation 11 and 12 came out, Nitro 5 started increasing it to the RTX version of the chip, and went from 2050, 3050 on those 10th and 11th and 12th versions. That's a huge upgrade. And if you have ray tracing, you have lighting reflections, AI powered learning built into the chips. In other words, basically, it's a power horse and a graphics chip. And I find it great because, personally for me, when I'm using that laptop, I do a lot of rendering. I happen to use DaVinci Resolve. I do a lot of Adobe Photoshop on the chip. So having this graphic card built into it, speeds up my rendering, speeds up my working. And then when I'm ready to have a little fun, it works really, really well. Of course, once we got to the latest version, the version 13 chip, you had the 1450. And even newer cards are now being added to the unit. Now, these, of course, one of the things about the 1450 and chips like this, they do consume a lot of power because of their ability to process. And that means what makes that extremely well, what makes this laptop stand out is its dual fan construction and the way that the venting system in this laptop blows out both sides. So it continues to help cool the laptop and keep it cool. Now, if you're really doing some heavy graphics and heavy gaming, of course, you're going to, like any computer, whether it be your desktop or laptop, you're going to start noticing the fans start to come up and start to blow a little faster because you're processing a lot of data, which is starting to build a lot of heat. and if you're using up your laptop on battery, it will take a toll. Now, I want you to check out my other videos on how to upgrade your Nitro 5 laptop. I've shown, because the laptop usually comes with one NVM, okay, a second NVM slot, and a space for an SSD. So that means you can increase the storage on your unit almost infinitely. And the same thing, you can get it with 8 gigabytes of RAM, 16 gigabytes of RAM, or 32 gigabytes of RAM. Personally, I like running my laptops on my computers with a minimum of 16 gigabytes of RAM, and I do with my graphics cards. I usually do 32 gigs of RAM because I want the most amount of storage and most amount of speed. Using an SSD, of course, and an NVMe, you have the highest data transfer rate, which is going to make those games fly, which makes rendering a breeze, and makes just working on the computer absolutely great. And because that extra storage space means that you're not going to run out of space, because you can simply take off the back end. You can check out the video. I'll leave the link for that. You just pop it in, pop another NVMe RAM in there, and you're ready to go. This laptop just makes functionality great. Now let's talk about the screen. 144 megahertz, okay? It's 144 megahertz, 60 megahertz, 1080p. Fantastic image. Now, is it the best screen for the money? No, I will tell you like that. What I like to do with that is I usually have a secondary screen, a portable screen connected to it where I can use dual screens, and that happens to be a higher resolution, higher, faster rate, refresh rate. But of just doing my normal graphics, the screen is perfect for most applications. Another thing that makes this laptop sing, of course, a lot of people have said, oh, well, it's plastic and it doesn't feel great and it doesn't, it feels kind of cheap. Yeah, it's plastic. I will agree with you. But I will say that it's weighty. In other words, the plastic is thick, the plastic is durable. I dropped my laptop off the table accidentally, and nothing happened to it. So, not saying that you should try to do that, but I will say that when I take the back cover off, when I was adding another SSD card, that laptop back was thick, strong. The other thing I noticed about it is where the power socket is, where it plugs into. It's made well, and the way it's formed, where the power adapter goes into it, it's not going to be easy for you to actually damage it. For those of you who happen to have an HP laptop, you probably know that the way that it plugs into the side of the laptop, if you pull on that cord and enough times back and forth, you damage the plug inside, and then you have to have it repaired. Where the Acer power plugs are made in such a way that they can endure this type of situation, which makes this laptop last and last and last. The other thing is, I have my laptop on, I'm doing graphics and things, and I get about 6 hours out of it. It's got plenty of sockets, USB 3.2, USB-C, graphics, plenty of cooling. I just have to say, this laptop, I have one with 10, 11, and 13 right now. And I've given them to my grandkids because they just don't fail. They just seem to work and work and work and work. In fact, the only complaint I have about it is over time you do wear out the keys on the keyboard, when they say there's no more face. But that's okay. So like I said, overall, I found this laptop to be extremely durable, extremely powerful. Is it the best, most powerful laptop out there? No. But for the price, I have to say this thing just endures. And like I said, I run Adobe Photoshop on it. I do graphics on it. I'm actually recording this video on the Nitro 5 version 10 with a 1050 card. I use DaVinci software to edit my software, and the rendering speed is excellent. All in all, I can't complain. The only major thing that I would do, okay, to this laptop, and I'll leave you the link, is to add what are called foldable feet. And I'll give you a quick feet on this and see if you can see it. You see it? What they are, basically, foldable feet that raise the laptop up about 1.5 inches. And that brings my keyboard up ever so slightly so that I can get a better view of it. At the same time, what it does, it raises it off the surface of your desk and increases the cooling efficiency of your laptop. You may not want to do that, but I do like doing that. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. If you have the laptop and you like it, put it in the comments. I'll leave you my Amazon affiliate links to these items. Please use the links. That's how Grandpa gets paid. You can also become a Patreon member. You can become a channel member. You can buy a cup of coffee for you, or you can hit the thank you button and help support the channel. All in all, I'll leave you some links from other videos you can check out. And until next time, Grandpa's glad to see you. Put it in the comments. Grandpa loves to hear from you. Have a great day.